missed the playoffs, and Dak was injured. Well, Dak's coming back. And 2 years ago, Dak was everything in Dallas. Damian Woody, do the Cowboys need a superhuman MVP-like effort out of Dak to be a playoff team this year?
I think if they can't fix their rush defense, yes, they will, because the one thing about it is you can't stop the run. You're going to be in a lot of shootouts. And so for me, when Dak Prescott plays a full slate of game and he's healthy, usually that equates to the Cowboys as one of the top offenses in the National Football League. We've talked ad nauseum about the CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens combo. I think that's going to be a very good combo. But the defensive side of football, to me, is going to predicate if Dak Prescott is going to be one of these guys that's going to have to be a gunslinger this upcoming season.
Dominique Foxworth, we're bringing you in here on this. Dak Prescott, what do you make of him in 2025, and what can he do with this Dallas Cowboys team?
Yeah, I do think it's going to be a ton of pressure on Dak to get the job done and outscore opposing offenses and make the best of the George Pickens additions. I think George Pickens has shown that he's incredibly talented, but he hasn't consistently had the type of quarterback play that I think Dak Prescott could provide. So I think what the Cowboys are offensively is one of the kind of black boxes in that division right now, because if George Pickens turns out to be as incredible as he can be on some plays for an entire game because he has a good quarterback, I think this team is definitely formidable. I'm not saying that they're going to dominate people, but if they get a lead, then you got Micah Parsons to deal with on the other side. I think this team could create some trouble in that division.
Kevin Clark, the Dallas Cowboys, new head coach, new defensive coordinator. How do these coaching changes help this team?
How do they help? I don't know. They may not help. They may have been the wrong hire. I don't know if many people around the league saw Brian Schottenheimer as a head coach 6 months ago. Jerry Jones did. The good news for him is this roster is still intact. It's still good. Dak Prescott has the capability to play at an MVP level. The receivers are set. I just have questions about what their entire operation is. I don't think that they're very talented looking at the rest of this division. The Eagles roster is much better, and Jaden Daniels and the Commanders have more momentum. So they're the third best team in this division.
There's a team we have not mentioned yet that also play in this division, that play in this area right here.
Turn it up to 11 with Micah Parsons, and he's ready to turn them dollars up on a new deal. It's time for the Fowler Files. Jeremy Fowler, fresh off of dominating the paint at a local pickup, ready to do his day job as NFL insider here. Jeremy, what are you hearing about how TJ Watt's new deal, mega deal with the Steelers, might be impacting what Parsons and his agents are trying to do with the Cowboys?
Yeah, Tyler, Watt's deal is just a baseline here for Parsons, who I expect to surpass all the pass rushers because he's only 26 years old and he's got the best 4-year start to an NFL career as a rusher since Reggie White. So he's in a prime position here to cash in a big way. The Cowboys are dedicated to doing something with Parsons, but they have slow played it a bit. We've seen this in the past with Dallas. Could be similar to CeeDee Lamb, who got his deal last year in about late August or so. I think the frustration from Parsons' side is more like, hey, we could do something special here as a team. I want to get going, get this deal done and pass. But he knows the game. He knows it's going to take a little bit of time here.
All right, Parsons not the only big name looking for a new contract. What can you tell us about some other players in that position, starting with Cincinnati's Trey Hendrickson?
Yeah, Trey Hendrickson, the situation.
Receiving room. The Cowboys report to camp on Monday. First practice in Oxnard coming the next day. When will a contract extension come for Micah Parsons? Better believe the 26-year-old defensive nightmare was keeping a close eye on those extension talks for TJ Watt in the Steel City. A rising tide lifts all boats, and a rising floor for elite pass rushers you'd think would have to lift Parsons' number as well. This is what he had to say, did Micah Parsons. We obviously wanted to get done early. We want that relief off our backs, but obviously ownership is always going to make it drag out, make it more complicated than it has to be. Lack of communication in that standpoint. But I just always say, God has me this far. He ain't done with me yet. So, I just keep working, keep going.
They're in Portland.
The Cowboys, this is on the 6 Feet Under podcast. He said, we obviously wanted to get done early. We want that relief off of our backs. But obviously ownership is always going to make it drag out, make it more complicated than it has to be. Lack of communication in that standpoint. But, I just always say, God has me this far. He ain't done with me yet. So, I just keep working, keep going. And then when it comes, I'm going to be ready. Close quote. Harry, do you agree with Parsons that the Cowboys have made this more complicated than it needs to be?
When
Don't the Cowboys make things complicated, Randy? Like when it comes to contract negotiations with anybody, it becomes complicated. We're forgetting that Dak Prescott signed his contract the day of the game last season to start the 2024 year. Like how complicated and crazy is that? But I will say this, it should not be complicated from Jerry Jones because TJ Watt just got paid. Everything is in black and white. You know what the highest non-quarterback money is now on paper. So it shouldn't be a back and forth anymore. If you're Jerry Jones, go ahead and get the deal done because Micah Parsons has had 12 or more sacks in every single season that he's played for the Dallas Cowboys. Give me my money. Pay the man.
HD. All right, if you had to, how would you define what would constitute a failure for Dallas this season?
A failure for me is not winning the line of scrimmage on the offensive line and also the defensive line. We know they haven't been the best rushing the football. We know they've had the inability to stop the run on the defensive side. So that's why with the first round pick, you go and draft the offensive lineman. Can Brian Schottenheimer in his first year as a head coach, can they get this unit, the offense that is, to win a lot of scrimmage and run the football successfully and be balanced on offense? But on defense, can you stop the run? Because you have two teams in your division, which is the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Commanders, who are second and third rushing the football. They aren't going anywhere anytime soon.
No, there's stability there in the backfield. Harry Douglas, we appreciate the insight on SportsCenter. Thanks, HD.
Give me my money.
Give me my money.
Time for SC3. 3 headlines you need to know from across the NFL. Let's start. Chiefs wideout Rashee Rice has been sentenced to 30 days in jail stemming from a high-speed car crash last year that resulted in multiple injuries to other drivers. Right.
We'll go in order of position. I think that's the easy way to do this type of stuff here. Traeshon Holden, the wide receiver out of Oregon, who was the second leading wide receiver for the Ducks this past year, did outperform statistically Evan Stewart as well. Holden has really good size. He's 6'2", he's 205. There's upside there. He wasn't great at Alabama, ends up transferring to Oregon. Up and down at Oregon more than anything else. I don't think separation is really his game. And the athletic testing mostly confirms that he had a bad vertical, bad 10-yard split. 4.57 is actually pretty solid for a guy that's 6'2", 205. He also got ejected from the Ohio State game for spitting on an opponent and was briefly kicked off the Oregon football team, came back. There was a accusation he pulled a gun on somebody. That charge ended up being dropped, so he came back. He was undrafted on Dane's list as number 50 wide receiver, I think is worth mentioning. Of note, Cowboys hired Junior Adams, who was Holden's wide receiver coach this past year. So there had been some character stuff, but if the receivers coach is bringing him in, probably means the receivers coach fully signed off there on the character there. I think kind of a bigger body, physical wide receiver. Both Traeshon Holden and Josh Kelly are not options